guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Amy, and today I want to walk you through a little story time about all the things that went wrong with our turnkey property that we bought for Airbnb. Not making this video to whine, I certainly hope it doesn't come off like this, but I thought this might be kind of an interesting story for two different reasons. Number one, if you're a real estate investor and you're going through the same thing where things just keep breaking, maybe this is a video where it's like, hey, I'm right there with you. It doesn't make you a bad real estate investor. This is just kind of the name of the game, and there is light at the end of the tunnel. And the second reason I thought this might be kind of interesting is if you can learn something from this video and kind of accelerate your learning curve, then that makes me happy. If I can help like one or two people, then it's been a good day. So let's jump into it. We bought a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house right outside of Tampa, Florida, close to the beach, with the intention of turning it into an Airbnb. And this was in July of 2022. So right at the height of the market. Market is super hot, especially down in Florida. People are like naming their firstborn child after people just to get a home. And we closed on this house for $645,000, and I believe it was listed for $640,000. So we paid just slightly over asking, but nothing insane. When we, looked at this house, it was beautiful. It had this gorgeous, gorgeous kitchen, this huge, $10,000 commercial grade built-in refrigerator. It was amazing. And we had to have this property. Ran the numbers, of course, and it checked out to make money on Airbnb. So it was a go. It was fancier than our own home. It was absolutely beautiful. And I think that is the part that was the most surprising with this whole thing. We had so many things break after we closed on the house. And I would have been okay with that if we had bought the property knowing, oh, this is a fixer-upper, like we're gonna have a lot of work to do, because you expect it. This whole place, the cosmetic portion of it was so well done that we just assumed that we weren't going to have so many issues, on top of the fact that it also passed a 5-point inspection. And we thought, hey, we might need to paint the walls just because I'm picky and wanted them a different color. And then we move in our furniture and we're ready to go. Not the case. And if you hang around to the end, we'll go through what we'll be doing differently when we purchase our next property. So the first thing that we had to repair was we needed to refinish the pool. Now, this one we did know about before. We noticed when we toured the home that bottom of the pool wasn't in the greatest shape and we need to refinish it. So I throw that on the list, but I can't really, we knew we'd have to do that work. That ended up being about $10,000. What we weren't expecting is that through the course, as I'm painting this house and we're getting like the first month's utility bills and getting furniture and everything, the utility bills were like through the roof, particularly water. And we had the company that maintains and takes care of our pool come out, and he said, oh yeah, I worked on this house before. This pump is really, really old and needs to be redone. Through the course of everything and troubleshooting, we also figured out that we had some leaks in the piping system that had to be repaired. And so got to take care of that. So to fix the pool pump and the leaks associated with it was a little over $1,800. The next thing that we discovered in our precious little beach home was the air conditioning unit. When we toured the house, everything felt fine. The air conditioning unit was only a few years old. I think it was like a 2019. And in the process of me being in this house almost every single day painting, I'd be in there. This is the middle of summer, and the house was struggling to get below 78 degrees. I was like, oh my gosh, it's so hot in here. And it didn't matter what I turned it down to, it just was not getting below 78 degrees. On top of that, we get our utility bill back, and it's way, way, way higher than it should be. Of course, you can't have an Airbnb and say, oh, sorry about your luck. It's going to be, 80 degrees in here at all times. That's a great way to get like really bad reviews. So we call a heating and cooling company They told us that this 2019 air conditioner looked to be refurbished and potentially too small for the total house. They wanted to troubleshoot a few more things, but we thought, oh my gosh, we might need to get a new air conditioner. They also crawled up into the attic to look at the insulation and ductwork. And you guys, this house that had a $10,000 commercial grade refrigerator and all these bells and whistles had the original ductwork from the 1950s. And they said that there was literally duct tape on the piping up in the attic. Not to mention the insulation up there was also original to the home. And so cold air was just leaking like crazy, which is why it couldn't cool the house down. So our action plan was, hey, we're going to get all the ductwork fixed. We're going to get new insulation. If that doesn't solve the problem, then we're going to have to look at getting a bigger air conditioning unit for the house. The ductwork and insulation bill was $9,100. Now, luckily, that did solve the problem. The house stays nice and cool. We haven't had any issues. So we didn't have to get a new air conditioning unit, but $9,100 bill that we were not expecting. Ouch, that one hurt. The next thing that we discovered, and this is probably, oh, this is the one that made me cry. I'm in there painting, I'm getting furniture set up, everything's great. And I start noticing that there's water pooling on the floor around the refrigerator. And I had some drinks in the fridge. When I'd go to grab something, I would notice they weren't very cold, even though the settings said they should be. So we call a repair guy. I don't remember what exactly it was. There was some issues with the compressor, I believe, and some of the piping. He said he could fix it, but it was going to be just way more money than it was worth. And he said that it really wasn't going to solve a lot of the problems, unfortunately. So we now have this issue where not only do we need a new fridge, but this thing was a commercial grade built in to the custom cabinetry. So it's going to leave a gigantic hole around this refrigerator. And y'all, this was just so heartbreaking because when you looked at pictures of this kitchen, it just said fancy. It was anything nicer than we had owned. I was really excited about the photography that we were going to get out of this. It just looked awesome. But we looked at getting a new version of the same fridge, and those things are like $10,000. And after the pool refinishing, the ductwork, it just was not in the cards for us to swap it out for a one-on-one. Maybe if this had been the first thing that had broken, we would have, but unfortunately just not in the cards. So we had to get just a normal fridge and then figure out what to do with this giant hole around the cabinetry. We ended up reconfiguring the cabinets and like moving one of them over, which was additional like trim work and stuff that had to be done. And then I found these really cool kits online where they add like faux venting above a regular fridge and some extra metal trim work on the side. So it gives the illusion that it's more of a built-in, and that allowed us to just make up some of that height that was missing. It didn't totally take care of the problem. We ended up putting a shelf and decorating it above. So that was our solution, but that one was a tough pill to swallow. The other really fun part of that story is that we got the new fridge. We told Home Depot, hey, you're going to have to haul away an old fridge. They get there and they're like, oh, we don't touch these giant commercial grade refrigerators. This is too heavy. We're not going to do it. We ended up calling like 2 other companies. They wouldn't do it. No one even wanted to. We thought we might be able to like sell it for parts or something. No one wanted this thing. And so we ended up just having to call college hunks and have them take it away. It was very, very sad. Even though it broke my heart to get rid of this refrigerator. And again, this house passed an inspection. I would think that would include like all the appliances, but we'll talk about that towards the end. So to get a new refrigerator plus move all that trim work over was $3,100. And we were out this amazing $10,000 refrigerator. I'm getting really worked up. I promise this wasn't supposed to be a rant. Also, if you're finding this information helpful, if this is gonna help you avoid some of the mistakes that we made, please do me a favor, give me a like and a subscribe. It really does support me with the YouTube algorithm. All right, so $3,100 to get the fridge done. At this point, we are so behind schedule, and I'm just thinking, okay, nothing else can break. We've had enough. We're done. We're now at the point where furniture is in. I'm getting all the linens put in the supply closet, and I'm washing all of our white towels and sheets. And I start to notice that there's like black marks on some of them. The first couple loads, I just chalked it up to like maybe they came that way and I didn't notice them. But as I'm doing more loads and I keep seeing these black streaks, I'm going, okay, what the heck? And I'm checking the towels and sheets before I put them into the wash at this point. So I look in the washer, everything seems to be fine. Look in the dryer, and I notice that there's like tar or rust, like something in the dryer. And as I start rubbing on it, it like 100% matches what's been coming on our sheets and towels. So I get in there and I'm trying to like clean this residue off. I have no idea what this is. I do think it was like some kind of a mix of like rust and tar or something, but I'm trying to clean this off. We can't continue to get black streaks all over our towels. They're white. We want them to look clean and fresh. And on this one, we could have called someone out. I don't know if there's something that we could have done to avoid this, but at this point, we are so far behind. We're so fed up with all these things that have happened. And the dryer was on the older side. And so it's like, okay, we're not putting $200 into this to have someone get all this gunk out, and then a month later it's gonna end up breaking. So we just got a new dryer, $661, solve the problems, we could get going. So at this point, we have launched the Airbnb, we're live, ready for business. Great. We think that we've solved all these problems. About 2 months into having guests in our Airbnb, we get a call from one of the guests. The hot tub water is low and not heating. I have another video, I think it's my numbers from January, where I go into a little bit more of a story time. If you want to hear more details on that, go check out that video. But long story short, the hot tub is broken. Have someone go out there. Little critters had gotten up and chewed the piping, and it was once again going to be way more money than the hot tub was worth to repair. We also found out, I guess we just hadn't noticed, but we found out that the hot tub was just sitting on the ground, which was meaning that animals could like burrow up underneath and get into this thing. So we got another hot tub secondhand. Everything brand new, was sold out for 6 to 8 weeks. We needed a solution right now. So we got a secondhand hot tub, and then we also built a deck pavilion to put the hot tub on so that we won't have any more trouble with little critters. We also had to get an electrician out there to make sure that everything was up to code and rewire, and that was a little over $5,300. Yikes. So all in all, we spent a little over $30,000 in unexpected expenses with this house. Thank goodness we had the cash on hand to pay for all of this. It hurt to spend the money, but we were able to repair things in the right way and resolve the issues, which was the good part. Would I buy this house again? Like I said before, yes, 100%. We had some stumbling blocks along the way. And even though we had to put extra money into the house that we weren't anticipating, are making good numbers with Airbnb. I have monthly revenue report videos. I'll link those down below if you want to check them out. And the house has already appreciated a little bit. Long term, we will not be missing that $30,000. It was worth it, but it just was a lot more difficult along the way to get up and running than we anticipated. And we definitely learned a lot. So here's what I would do differently next time if the market allowed for it. I don't know if an inspection isn't supposed to cover things like appliances. You would think that it would. That was definitely our expectation. The market was so hot at the time. I don't know if inspectors were just kind of going out there and basically ensuring that there was a house where they said it was and it had the correct number of bedrooms. But we did have quite a few things that I feel like should have been caught in the inspection that just weren't. Next time around, Couple things that we're going to be doing differently. Number one, if the market allows and we're not in this position where people are waiving inspections in order to get the deals done, we will be having our pool guy, our HVAC, a regular contractor come in. We're going to pay them for their time, and we're basically going to say, on top of the inspection, we're going to say, hey, pick this place apart with your expert eye and tell us everything that could potentially need to be fixed. If the market doesn't allow us to do that, then we're going to budget in like $30,000 to $50,000 of expenses, expecting that things like this will probably need to be fixed and will break. We'll run our numbers that way, and if the deal doesn't pencil out based on that, then no deal. It's a bad deal and we're moving on. This house was built in the 1950s. I'm not saying that we would never buy another house that old, but it will definitely be a plus if we can find a deal where it was built in the 1990s or it's a little bit newer, just because you're not going to have hopefully quite as many things that are old and need to be repaired. I'm also not saying that we would never buy a house that had been flipped or fully renovated, but I will just have a much more critical eye on that deal and not go into it with the expectation that it's a turnkey deal. I don't think we would have caught these things. We're not professionals. I wouldn't have known to like look in a refrigerator and see that it's broken or not working. We wouldn't have known about the ductwork. We're not professionals, which is why we're going to hire professionals to look over the next deal. I'm never going to look at a house where all the cosmetic things are done to perfection and assume that everything else has been taken care of. We got distracted by kind of all the shiny objects and all the pretty things, expecting that quality of work translated into other parts of the house. And that's just not going to be my expectation moving forward. I'm always going to anticipate that there are things that need to be fixed. So I wouldn't turn a flip down. I think for one of our next deals, I would almost rather have a place where I know it hasn't been touched since like the 60s, and it's got the original linoleum and flooring and carpet and cabinetry. And I know I'm going to have to rip everything out and fix it the right way, but I'm going to purchase it at a price that's appropriate for that. I'd rather know what I'm getting into than to think that there's not going to be any work. So again, we would totally buy the house over again. It's just, these are some things to look out for. And I think the next deal, it's really going to help having our pool guy and HVAC person all come out and kind of take a critical eye and look at things. I got really into my stories. I hope this didn't come off as a rant. That's really not what I intended for this to be. So I hope this video was helpful. Again, if it was, please give it a like, subscribe, and until next time, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.